What if I told you that the biggest disappointment of Saquon Barkley's career was actually the best thing that ever happened to him? 2 years ago, Saquon was devastated, crushed, maybe even a little betrayed. The New York Giants, the team that drafted him, the team he gave everything to, refused to give him the long-term contract he wanted. Instead, they ended up slapping him with the franchise tag. They hit him with that 1-year deal. No long-term security, no guarantees, just a prove-it season. And Saquon, at the time, he was pissed. The Giants let him down. Put yourself in his shoes for a second. This is a guy who came into the NFL as a generational talent, a guy who was supposed to be the face of the franchise. And the Giants took him with the number 2 overall pick in 2018. They didn't take a quarterback, not a defensive star, but a running back. That's how special Saquon was. And for the first few years, he lived up to the hype. His rookie season, he had over 2,000 total yards and 15 touchdowns, offensive rookie of the year, and he was electrifying, juking defenders, hurdling grown men, and carrying the entire offense on his back. But then the injuries did start to come. He had a torn ACL, a bunch of high ankle sprains, and a banged up Giants offense that struggled to protect him. And by the time his rookie contract was up, the Giants weren't sure if he was worth a long-term deal. Saquon, on the other hand, he knew his worth. Why? Because he saw Christian McCaffrey get paid at the time. He saw Ezekiel Elliott get his bag, and he wanted his. But at the time, the Giants weren't ready to commit. So instead of giving Saquon the deal he wanted, they ended up tagging him. A 1-year, $10 million contract. 1 year to prove again that he was elite. And that hurts, because at the time it wasn't just about money, it was about respect. And when Saquon found out about that, he was considering holding out, because he was upset, he was frustrated, and he seriously considered holding out and sitting out the entire season just to make a statement. And honestly, a lot of people wouldn't have blamed him, because the NFL is brutal for running backs. It's the shortest lifespan of any position. These guys take the most hits, absorb the most punishment, and yet teams hesitate to pay them long term. And Saquon knew that if he played under that tag, one bad injury could cost him millions. But in the end, he ended up playing. He bet on himself. And little did he know that was the best decision he ever made. The franchise tag backfired in the best possible way. At the time, it felt like the Giants were doing him dirty. But let's be real. If the Giants had given him the contract he wanted at the time, what would have happened? Saquon would have been stuck on a bad team, stuck on a terrible offensive line, and stuck in a losing culture. Because let's face it, the Giants weren't built to win. They didn't have an offensive line, no real quarterback, no real shot at competing. Defenses weren't scared of Daniel Jones. They weren't worried about the Giants' passing game. They used to always load the box and focus on one thing: stopping Saquon. And if he signed a 4-year deal with New York, there was no way he would have had the season he just had. There's no way he puts up over 2,000 total yards. There's no way he dominates the league the way he just did. And most importantly, there's no way he gets the $20 million per year contract he just signed. And here's the crazy part. Joe Schoen, the Giants general manager, actually did Saquon a huge favor. Not on purpose, of course. The Giants weren't thinking, let's help Saquon get a bigger deal somewhere else. They were thinking, we don't want to overpay a running back. But in trying to be smart, they ended up pushing Saquon into the best possible situation for his career. Because that franchise tag forced him to prove himself again, and it forced him to train harder, to stay healthy, and to show the world exactly what he was capable of. And by the time free agency rolled around, he was the guy. Teams weren't just interested, they were lining up to pay him. And for the first time in his career, he had a choice. He got to leave New York, and he got to pick a team that actually had a chance to win. And guess what? Now he's not just a great running back, he's a potential Hall of Famer. Now here's where I want you to pay close attention, because there's a butterfly effect here. One bad decision changed everything. Think about it. If the Giants had paid him, he stays in New York. If he stays in New York, he doesn't put up MVP level numbers. And if he doesn't put up MVP numbers, he doesn't get this massive new contract he just got. And if he doesn't get this contract, his career might look completely different. And let's go even deeper. If he doesn't leave the Giants, maybe he never wins a Super Bowl. And maybe he never gets the chance to show the world how truly great he can be. Maybe his career is just another case of a great talent being wasted on a bad team. But because the Giants fumbled the bag, he's in a much better situation now. Here's the lesson. Trust the process. Sometimes life doesn't go your way. You get rejected, you lose an opportunity, you feel like you've been done wrong. And in the moment, it hurts. But what if that setback is actually a setup? What if the thing you're upset about today is actually preparing you for something better? Saquon didn't know it at the time, but that franchise tag was a blessing in disguise. And now he's thriving. He's not just another great running back, he's one of the best in the game. And the Giants, let's just say they regret their decision. So when life isn't going your way, when you're going through those struggles, through those hurdles, a lot of people tend to give up. They fall into the tunnel and they never come back out of it. Stay patient, stay strong, and trust the process. Because like Saquon Barkley, God's plan is bigger than ours. And sometimes the no you get today is just making room for a much bigger yes tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. In the meantime, stay humble, be blessed, and keep going.